Today I'm talking with Glen Chisholm, who is currently a councillor for the White House area in Ipswich. And 5 years ago, Glen was actually the mayor of Ipswich. So I'm really excited to be able to speak with Glen today to talk about racism specifically in the Ipswich area. How you doing, Glen? You okay?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thank you very much for spending the time to talk to me.
Oh, no, thank you. Thanks for coming on. So we spoke earlier in the week very briefly. Being born and bred in Ipswich and growing up in the 70s and 80s, what was it that inspired you to get into politics yourself?
I came from quite a politically aware family. My granddad and my dad were very politically aware. I remember our conversations around the table on a Sunday talking about politics. So it was always around in the back of my head. As I grew up, you kind of move into different things and different tangents. And I had some personal incidents in my life which led to me to have a bout with depression. When I was recovering from that, I started writing. I wrote for an organization called Time to Change. And I found writing and speaking and helping people really kind of gave me some purpose going forward. And so from that, I became involved in activism locally, and it kind of led to me becoming a councillor. It kind of went from there. This thirst and hunger to try and help people is what kind of got me involved in being a councillor. And that's how the kind of story started.
Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing that for a start. So from your experiences, how prominent would you say racism is in Ipswich at the moment? And what's the biggest challenge that people face?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. So when I was growing up, it was a lot more prominent. I mean, I had experience of racist graffiti outside my house. That's one of my early memories as a child. I remember being spat at both in the streets by people. I remember going to a school disco, and there was some kids in the year above me at school. They accused me and my friend Tony, who was black. They said, "What are you N-words doing here, chasing old white women?" We were just at a school disco having fun, and I remember going home afterwards and being quite hyped about it and talking to my family about it. And then they walked past my house shouting, "There's only one Wogan White House, Glen Chisholm." So that's how it was growing up. I mean, that's just an example. I mean, there's so much. I mean, I'm 47 years old, so as you can imagine, there's a lot of experiences, a lot of instances I had over there. So it was very, very strong and very prominent growing up. I would say that in the last 10 years, it seemed to decrease. I was feeling a lot more confident that we were moving in the right direction. It wasn't as overt and it wasn't out there. But I would say that in the last few years, I think it kind of goes with the rise of some of the rhetoric which has been used around politics, some of the division in there. It seems to be peaking up again. You just need to, I know that social media is not a reflection on the real world, but you just need to look at the comment section on some Ipswich Star posts. If they post something about racism, you just look through the comments there and some of the things that you will see. And I've had, as a councillor, I've had people come to me with experiences that they've had. I've had, I know someone who returning from work after lockdown, their first day back at work, and someone had put racist graffiti on their locker at work. I know someone who was racially abused in a car park. It's there. It seems to be rising.
Wow, yeah. I mean, that's really bad that we seem to be going backwards, really, and especially since, I mean, as recent as lockdown and returning to work. So I'm guessing that's within the last couple of months. So awful to hear. What kind of realistic, practical changes do you think we could make as a community? So that's both individual members of the community like myself and perhaps local authorities as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hard. I mean, it is quite. I think that what happened with the situation in America brought a lot of emotions up. So for a lot of us who've experienced racism, it's kind of been a reflective process, looking at like bringing back the memories and trauma of what we had. And as I said, the situation now compared to how it was like 20, 30 years ago is not the same. But we do seem to be declining. So it is an issue. And I think that part of the problems that we face nowadays is that there's far too many people who don't think it's an issue. There's people who think that, well, racism has gone away. People don't suffer from racism anymore. That doesn't exist. So I think that an acceptance that it is a problem is part of it, so that we can move forward. Because it is exhausting. It's exhausting having to face racism, but it's exhausting having to justify why you feel this way, where you talk about your lived experience, and to have someone turn around and say, that's not real, that didn't happen. But we're like, no, that's what we face, that's what we see. So we get a lot of that. So I think going forward, the first thing is accepting as a problem so that we can deal with it. But I have been heartened by people like yourself, Owen, people who are stepping up and want to make a difference. I've had people contact me from organizations saying, what can we do better? What can we do to improve the situation, and individuals as well. So people wanting to change is good, and there seems to be that momentum going. So as for organizations and local authorities, I was on a call the other day with around health inequalities. There was 100 people on there, as in practitioners, members of the community, and different organizations. So these are all coming together looking at what the problem is, what we can do to fix it. And I think we need more of that in different sectors. I think we need to look at education, because a lot of the problems around racism come from ignorance and lack of understanding. So I think that some work around education, about understanding other cultures and understanding the true history of this country, not the happily whitewashed perfect example that we see. That there's some dark corners of our history that I think need to be looked at, which will add context to why people feel the way they do about certain things.
Yeah, because that's one thing that loads of people seem to be scared of, is that the Black Lives Matter movement is trying to rewrite history, when in a way it's almost doing the exact opposite, isn't it? We want to look at history and actually see what did happen, as opposed to what we've been told. And I'm one of myself as well. I mean, I thought a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I thought, I understand everything. This isn't aimed at me, but I was exactly the same as everyone else and ignorant as well. And just by doing like 2 weeks, 3 weeks worth of research into like the dangerous nostalgia of the British Empire and what it was actually like, it's just been a massive eye opener. And yeah, I mean, it's no coincidence that we've got to this state where we are today, because it's the same system, isn't it? It's just been changed throughout the years. So it's not so much of rewriting history. It's just actually looking at history properly and stop glossing over smaller parts. Is that right?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, yeah, you're trying to erase history, but it's not. It's looking at the true reflection of history. I mean, I saw a post on social media. Someone was saying, "Oh, we didn't have racism until the 1970s, when all the wogs came over here," and that's the kind of ignorance that we're kind of dealing with. People don't understand the true contribution. I mean, the Windrush generation. We just recently had the 72nd anniversary of the Windrush, the ship coming over here, and lots of people think that was the start of immigration to this country, but it goes far deeper than that. There was I was reading about it just the other day. They've done an archaeological dig in Ipswich in 2006, and one of the bodies that was found there was shown by DNA to have African roots. So this guy was directly from Africa, and he came here in 1200, so it would have been around about the time of the Crusades. So there's been black people in Ipswich since that time period. There were people in Henry VIII's court in the Tudor times who were of African descent, and that's kind of a part of history which is just swept to one side. So I mean, growing up as a child, I wanted to. I'm dual heritage. My father is Jamaican descent. My mother's English. And I had I wanted to understand more about black culture, because it wasn't being taught in schools. And I wanted to. I read books on Medgar Evers, on Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Steve Biko. So I wanted to understand things, and so it was down to me to learn this history. It wasn't taught in school, so it would be good to have like a broader base of the contribution that people from different cultures have made to this country being taught in schools.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks so much for your time, Glenn. It's been really helpful for myself. I hope other people got something out of it. Before I let you go, is there anything else you'd want to add for anyone who might be watching or anything?
No, once again, I want to thank you, Owen, for what you're doing with this, and for anyone. I just we all have a part to play. We're all interconnected, and just by being decent to each other and trying to understand each other's differences and appreciate what we all bring to this party, we'll make it a better society. So yeah, we all have something to do, and let's all just step up and try and make this a better place.
Yeah, in a world where you can be anything, why don't you be kind?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Okay, Glenn, thanks very much, mate. Have a great day. I'll speak to you soon.
Oh, you take care of yourself. Bye.
Cheers, Glenn. Take care. Thanks for your time.